Next, I have a pre-registered comment from Wendy Caldwell. Wendy, are you on the line?
Hi, yes, I am.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for letting me make this comment today. My name is Wendy Caldwell. I am a resident of District 7 in Detroit, where the AMC Project, which is on the agenda today, is planned. And I am also a mother with small children in this neighborhood. And I'm providing this public comment today on behalf of more than 100 residents who live around the AMC Project. Residents in this community have been organizing since April of this year, raising concerns about environmental impacts related to project construction and post-construction operations at this site. The newly proposed AMC redevelopment will be located in the center of our residential neighborhood, one that is home to more than 5,000 health vulnerable, overwhelming Black children and seniors. Data shows that industrial pollution sources and the mobile pollution sources, which include diesel trucks, trains, and other vehicles that service these sorts of facilities, emit a substantial amount of PM 2.5, NOx, and other pollutants. These pollutants have a substantial documented health impact on the people who live closest to these industrial facilities and around the truck routes that service them. Even with the amount of data that we have available, our state and local laws have not kept pace with the proliferation of manufacturing facilities like AMC. And we as residents are often told that because we don't see smokestacks, the pollution is not there. The data says otherwise, however, where people in Detroit, especially the most vulnerable children and seniors, suffer from more than 290 hospitalizations for respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, up to 30,000 respiratory symptom days among children with asthma, 4,500 lost days of work, and 40 deaths per year. And that data does not even begin to tell the full story of what the health impact looks like thanks to industrial pollution in Detroit. And based on EPA data on how diesel truck pollution moves, it will be impacts to people who live as far north as 1/8 of a mile from the site, and people who live as far downwind as 1/3 of a mile from the site, people who will be impacted by the pollutants from the trucks servicing these facilities during construction and operations thereafter. We believe that Northpoint, a multi-million-dollar corporation, also slated to receive $30 million in public tax support for this private development, should increase their commitment to mitigate the negative environmental impacts of this project on an already vulnerable population. Lastly, we recognize the incredible power that the MEDC and this board wields over the allocation of precious public tax dollars and resources here in the state of Michigan. And today, as impacted residents, we call on you to center the needs of vulnerable Black children and seniors in the impacted neighborhood and embrace the needs and the principles of equitable development, which declares that everyone benefit from development, not just wealthy developers. Everyday residents like us should benefit too. And we should not have to sacrifice our health just to bring new development to our community. Our ask is that alongside the project approval, because we want to be clear that we're not here to stop the project, we are asking that the MEDC and this board require Northpoint to support the installation of air filter and filtration systems in the homes of residents who live along the planned truck routes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments at this time?
With that, Sarah is still on. We'll now go to Northpoint Development, the former AMC headquarters. Sarah will present a resolution to approve a Brownfield Act 381 work plan for the Northpoint Development former AMC headquarters project. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you. Today, I'm also bringing forward a request from the City of Detroit Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for approval of a Brownfield Act 381 work plan, including state tax capture in the amount of $5,089,583 to reimburse for MSF eligible activities on the redevelopment of the former American Motor Company headquarters site in the city of Detroit. The applicant anticipates the project will result in a total capital investment of $72.1 million and the creation of up to 350 full-time jobs. With me today, I have Robbie Wen, Development Manager with Northpoint Development, and Gene Fellinger, Senior Industrial Real Estate Manager with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. At this time, I will turn it over to Robbie Wen with Northpoint Development to talk more about the project under consideration.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, board, for hearing us out on this opportunity to bring one of the most blighted properties in Detroit and redevelop it, creating 350 to 400 new permanent jobs, as well as 150 to 200 temporary construction jobs. We just recently opened our headquartered location in Detroit, where a team of us will focus on becoming, developers in the state of Michigan, as we are currently on our 9th project here. Over these last 4 years, we've invested over $825 million in these 9 projects and have created approximately 4,400 projected jobs from these projects. This site in particular is, as I mentioned, one of the most blighted sites in the city of Detroit. We have 30 years of historical environmental data, and as we took control of the site, we've also conducted an additional 6 to 7 months of environmental testing on the site to ensure that we're remediating it properly for safe working conditions, as well as understanding that there are residents nearby the site, and to make sure that we can focus on air quality. We actually ran models on the air quality and doubled the projected traffic generation using ITE 150 standard. So we doubled our traffic count of the code to be extremely conservative and cautious, knowing that there are residents nearby. And the findings have suggested that the limits are well below what is deemed acceptable by state regulations. With this project in particular, as Sarah has mentioned, it's $72.1 million capital investment. Roughly $66 million of that is hard cost, and the rest is design, most of it going towards environmental research. And that concludes what I have. We can pass it to Jean Bellinger.
Good morning.
Thank you, Robbie.
Good morning.
Go ahead, Jean.
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Jean Bellinger, as Sarah mentioned. I am the Senior Industrial Real Estate Manager at the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, and I am here to voice local support for the former AMC headquarters Brownfield redevelopment project. The Detroit Brownfield Redevelopment Authority and Detroit City Council approved this plan on May 11th, 2022 and June 21st, 2022, respectively. Additional local support for this project includes the City Brownfield Authority and Detroit Land Bank Authority assembling approximately 50 acres of land for the project, the vast majority tax foreclosed, without the displacement of any residents or businesses. A developer credit of approximately $5 million towards the purchase price of the property for their removal of blight and environmental remediation. The developer is pursuing a PA 198 certificate for speculative build, which the Detroit City Council has under consideration. Additionally, the developer has volunteered to complete several neighborhood improvement projects requested by the community as part of their development agreement with the Brownfield Authority. The City of Detroit supports this project, which will redevelop one of the largest and most seriously blighted and contaminated industrial sites in the City of Detroit into a modern industrial facility, resulting in significant job creation, which fulfills multiple development goals of the City of Detroit. I would like to thank the MSF board for your consideration of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. To recap, MEDC staff recommends approval of state tax capture for the Act 381 eligible activities capped at $5,089,583, utilizing the current state to local capture ratio. The project is consistent with the MEDC strategic plan by developing attractive places and attracting, retaining, and supporting business. The project will remove blighted buildings, increase the taxable value of the property, and create a new space that will be used to attract business expansion and job creation in a geographically disadvantaged area in the region. We're happy to answer any questions at this time, and we thank you for your consideration.
Yeah, hi, it's Charlie Rothstein with a quick question. So we
Please.
Yeah, thank you. So there was a public comment this morning with some concerns about this particular project. And do the principals have any response to that? I think it really centered on the environmental impact.
Robbie, do you have anything in addition to add?
Yes, so we have conducted a third-party air quality study, as I mentioned earlier. We had to do a projected traffic count. And so with that projected traffic count based off, traffic codes, we doubled the traffic generated count to be conservative in how it would contaminate the air quality. And so with that study, the findings from that study concluded that it was below the threshold allowed by the state regulations.
If I may add to that, because I had the same question, and I'm going to start off taking the Sue Tellier route and compliment you in addressing the blighted property. I mean, this is precisely the kind of thing we want to see happen and remediate the space. But the fact that we have this environmental threat in this community only serves as a proof point for the disproportional impacts of environmental threats to disadvantaged communities. And so I appreciate that you have done these studies and then it's below what the state levels suggest. But if, I think the caller was asking for additional filters, if that is something that as you move forward, and I think we want you to move forward, if that's something that is shown that will benefit the community and it's important to the community that lives there, are you willing to do that?
Yeah, so as Ms. Wendy Caldwell alluded to, was, putting filters in where the trucks would pass by residential lots. We've actually taken away truck access onto Plymouth Road, which is on the south side, which would go through Plymouth or residential areas. So we're making our truck access so that it only passes other industrial space. So you'll have 3 turns and it takes you right to the highway, passing no residential properties. So we try to alter the way that our site plan works and how the traffic will come into the site from the interstate and leave our site to the interstate to avoid the residential areas. The air filters for residential homes, we haven't been able to understand exactly what that entails, if it's filters for your furnace or if it's units, but we've tried to mitigate our truck routes to stay away from these residential areas.
So I guess I'm asking because I'm, in my day job, we've done a lot of this kind of work. We have researchers at our universities, and there are some communities that have certainly been negatively impacted by this kind of traffic. And so I guess I'm just asking if you're open moving forward to be working with the community on this and be flexible.
Yeah, we're looking into how we can help with this. As Ms. Wendy has alluded to, our trucks are not passing through the residential areas. We are going to have monitored construction, so the contractors will have to monitor their air quality controls systems to ensure that there's no contamination. As they do the abatement process, everything has to be wetted down so that asbestos isn't going into the air and drifting over to the residents. So we're doing what we can to mitigate all air quality or air quality risks for the site.
I guess you're not answering her question. You're kind of evading the question. So she asked pretty directly, yes or no, are you willing to work with the community on this particular issue?
Yeah, we can work with the community. We don't know what the specific request is. If it's where the trucks are passing through residential areas, it's not doing that currently.
If I may add, please, I just to orient everyone, the truck routes in and out of the site are 1 block from the freeway. So this isn't a development where we have trucks passing through. I think we in the community meetings, this topic was addressed. And I think we're not sure, or I'm just speaking on behalf of the developer, what exactly the request is for, what type of filters and what impact they would have.
So I'm not looking to hold up the deal. I think it's an important deal to move forward. I just hope that there's some reassurance that some of these community meetings as you move forward will continue to happen, and that the community will continue to have a say in some of these things and expressing their concerns, and that they'll be addressed. That's part of your process.
Absolutely. Yes. We will
Okay.
continue to have conversations with the community.
Great. Thank you.
I just want to, before I ask for any additional questions, I just want to make a procedural note. I do want to acknowledge Ms. Caldwell Liddell's hand. The current procedures do not require, do not allow for additional comments. So I do want to just acknowledge that. So don't want you to think that you're being ignored, but you had your 3 minutes to comment during public comment. So I want to make that acknowledgement. Are there any other questions from board members?
Yeah, this is Sue Tellier. I do have one question.
Yes, please.
And it's on the same topic, of course. I mean, the commenter during public comment did such a nice job of articulating concerns. I guess I want to understand how far the residential area is away from where the truck traffic would be because of just how air works, you know? Are we talking about a half a block or are we talking about a mile?
So there is there are 7 homes that are separated from the street to the west. The entrance is about half a block north of it. And then to the east side of the property, there's a railroad line, and then there's greenway, and then there's residential on that side, which is roughly, I think, 700 feet away from the property on the east. On the west, there are 7 properties that are more adjacent to the site.
So the trucks might not be going down their road, but they're within a very close proximity.
Yeah, so the drive aisle is roughly 380 feet away from their front property line.
Okay. I appreciate your candor on that. It does seem that requesting air filtration for their homes does seem like a reasonable request. I don't think that we can actually amend this to require that of you, but gosh, it seems like an easy fix for the community relationships.
Yeah, and it is something we want to be a good neighbor. So thing with our business model, we don't like to just sell our buildings. Typically, we like to hold them long term, and we want to be a good community neighbor. So we will definitely continue to have these community engagements. I think we have had 4 so far, and we are slated to have at least 1 to 2 more. So it is something that we will continue to pursue and talk through.
It sounds like you have a willing focus group to give you feedback.
Absolutely.
Has the MEDC seen the the environmental impact study?
Did everybody hear? Sarah, can you comment on Board Member Rossing's question regarding the environmental impact study? Or can someone from Detroit, Ms. Jean from Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, comment on that?
I'm sorry, the question again?
The question was, the environmental impact study, has the MEDC, the board, has the staff at MEDC seen it?
I do not know. I can't answer in the affirmative on that, but I will get them a copy.
I mean, so we're asked to vote on this, and we're obviously a little squeamish, or some of us are a tad squeamish about the environmental impact, but we don't know whether staff has seen it. It seems to me that we need to know that someone has seen it, that it can report to us what it says.
Pardon me, Mr. Chair, if I may. This is Jared Belka. I'm an attorney for the developer, and Mr. Board Mr. Rothstein, the BC, the city of Detroit, a copy of that study was provided to them. They had reviewed and approved it and signed off on it. I don't know that it was shared with the MEDC, but the city's environmental department was provided a copy and did review and sign off on that.
Would it be okay for us to see it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
And Mr. Rothstein, this is Rob Garza's staff that worked alongside Sarah in reviewing this project. That was not as part of our initial review. So I just wanted to make that clear to answer your question directly.
Okay. Mr. Chair, should we be voting on this without having seen the seen or heard from staff on this?
Well, I think the question is, from my perspective, I'm comfortable moving forward. But however, I think what's important to note is typically, and Rob or other members of staff will have to correct me if I'm wrong, we typically, if the environmental impact has been reviewed at the local level and there is local support for this, we defer to the local authorities because they are closer to make evaluations on the best interest. It is my understanding that this opportunity has been voted on and approved by the Detroit City Council multiple times, and purportedly that body has received that environmental impact study. So Rob or some others will have to disabuse me of that notion, but I think that aspect of it, we devolve down to the local level for approval. Rob, can you comment or amplify?
Yes, Quentin, that is correct. If those conversations are occurring while the project is being vetted, front-end staff is usually engaged to that extent. However, if upon conclusion of that, if there is local support and all the appropriate documentation comes in, we would typically not see that on the staff level to do additional review.
Mr. Rothstein, does that address your concern that it?
So we had an impassioned public comment, and we don't really have an adequate response to it. That just makes me scream. But I'm one person in a room full of 9 of us.
Well, I guess my only perspective, and I guess I would have to ask maybe the developer, if I am understanding this was presented to the Detroit City Council for approval. And I would imagine, just like there was one very impassioned, very articulate comment today, there were others that were in support of this. And we have our economic development partner in Detroit in support of this. Would that be a fair statement, Rob or Sarah?
Yes, that is.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Is that Sarah?
Yes, sorry. Yes, it is.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, I don't mean to interject here. I apologize. I just want to shed some light. That environmental study was done voluntarily by the developer through engagement with the community to address those concerns. They are relying on the expertise of their environmental consultant, as well as the results of that, and using those recommendations for the implementation of this development. So, the concerns of the community are at the forefront, which is why the developer went through those steps to address what needed to be done to address the remediation at the site and the construction of this development.
Mr. Chairman, Ron Beebe.
Director Beebe.
Thank you. I suspect that the environmental risk for the contaminants on the property far exceeds the air pollution of highly regulated diesel trucks. So on behalf of that and the fact that they have to comply with all the rules, regulations established by the state for environmental protection, I move adoption.
We have a motion for adoption by Director Beebe. Do we have I'm sorry? Do we have a second? Cap supports. We have a motion by BB, a second by Cap to approve the Brownfield Act 381 work plan request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane,
Yes, but I want to revisit this and hear more about what the company's doing, working with the community members, if we may, please, since we have heard that they're willing to work with them.
Mr. Beebe,
Yes.
Director Corbin,
Yes.
Mr. Hutcherson,
I'm
Yes.
sorry, if we can suspend just for 1 second. So Dr. Alfolter Kane, is that a conditional yes?
No, it's a yes with a comment requesting good faith.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for that. Thank you. Caitlin, could you go back, please,
yes.
to where you were in the order? Thank you.
Mr. Cap,
Yes.
Mr. Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Abstain.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes, with the same comment as the birthday girl.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. Thank you very much. And we, obviously, you heard the two comments, and we look forward to the developer providing us with updates on that community engagement portion.
Thank you.
With that, thank you. With that, we will move to the next agenda item. It's the Gentec Corporation. There are 3